Good morning. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene, and I'm coming to you from the recently sunny campsite in Caliper Lake that we're staying at because we've lost the coolant hose. Well, we still have it, but it's not working, and so we're going to be here for a couple of days until we can get roadside assistance. It's Saturday, and we could probably get the assistance sooner, but the garages are closed, so we might as well just stay at the campground instead of switching gears to a hotel. So actually, it's fairly nice, but before I take you on a tiny tour, I just started, look at this great t-shirt I got. It was at Drumheller, the Royal Tyne Museum, dinosaurs, and I got a men's extra large because I wanted my T-Rex to be bigger than all the others. There isn't a single person in my social group who has a T-Rex t-shirt. So let me just take you around. So this is the site where we pulled into, limping along, and way down under there where the mat is a dripping coolant pipe. And we thought we could fix it ourselves because technically it's a fairly easy fix, but we don't have a hose replacement. And I think there's some other reason why it's better if we can get to a proper garage. So we're gonna end up at the end of a tow truck again, probably on Monday. But the repair itself is, and oh my goodness, that's the back screen. There are so many mosquitoes. But it's not going to be as disastrous a fix because it's just a hose compared to an entire motor. So it shouldn't take us, as long as the mechanic can get to it, it shouldn't take the mechanic more than about an hour to deal with. So we put up the tarp because it was super sunny, and now there's a little bit of a drizzle. And, well, we pulled up in the night. We don't know exactly what we were getting, but we just went for big and level so that we could, do car things. And kids have been here before, so they have made a little fairy place. I put some offerings of the best cat kibble just in case, and they've painted the picnic table and used quite a lot of glitter. They're cute. And then there's amazing rock around here where, oh, sorry, I spun too fast. They painted this rock. I have a feeling it's like old leftover paint by number colors because it's just got that thick, oily, never dry kind of shape and look to it. Oh, I don't know. Did I say my name? My name's Lorene. And I thought I'd use this little interlude of 2 days to just kind of catch up a little bit with you on books. You've been seeing some of our highlights of our nature visits, waterfalls and rivers and so on. Well, yesterday, just minutes before we lost our oil coolant, I pointed to Steve and up in the sky there were two white birds who were doing quite a lovely job of gliding. The last 3.5 days have been really, really filled with winds. There were wind warnings across the prairie provinces, and it was luckily on our backside. So we saw quite a lot of birds who were, doing hang gliding, wing gliding, and pointed to Steve and I said, I don't know, are those cranes? They got sort of the look of a crane about them, but then, and if this video gets jerky, it's because I'm trying to slap mosquitoes. They weren't, and I thought, they don't, pelicans? And I thought, no, there are no pelicans in Canada. Can there be pelicans? Maybe out west. And so we landed, long story before we actually landed in this campground. And while we were looking at the information online and so on, sure enough, it says that there is the rare occasion when white pelicans will summer here. So that was cool. Just before, were they a harbinger of omen? Ooh, ooh, ooh. No, I mean, the hose had been losing coolant long before the pelicans showed up. But anyways, it was lovely to see them, and Steve managed to see them before we actually had to come to a full stop. So that was one of the exciting things. It's a lovely lake. It's, I believe it's Falcon Lake, if I'm not mistaken, and entirely possible that I'm mistaken. But the water here in northern, I really miss the water in northern Ontario. I mean, Nova Scotia has lots of beautiful things going on for it, but I don't love their lakes. Here you get these big, clean, dropped lakes with rocks or sand. You hardly ever get the kind of mucky soil type things that are in Nova Scotia, usually very blue, which I love. And it's overly cold, of course, but I can't say that the lakes in Nova Scotia are particularly warm until August either. So I think you just get used to whatever temperature your local lake is and just decide it's warm. I remember my brother Vincent, when he was about 9, they used to get, he had, oh my God, he would just do anything. And they would say, Vince, test the water. And he would go charging down to the end of the dock and leap into Georgian Bay. And basically they were there. If he came up alive, it was swimmable. He would go in, and even though it was 64 degrees, bah! The things we put my little brother through. Okay, books are happening. I mentioned to you that I probably have read Light by Margaret Elphinstone. And there we go. It's about women and lighthouses and men who come in to fix things. And I'm on page 3, and I'm getting a sense that it's possible I've read it, but I'm just going to go ahead. Well, for a couple of reasons, I don't have a choice. But secondly, it's been so long since I've read it that I think I'm okay with not remembering too much too often. And on the other hand, whoops, sorry guys. On the other hand, if it's a reread, I will survive. I've learned that there's quite an awful lot of things that I can survive on this trip, and rereading a book is definitely one of them. Well, we were in Kenora the other day, just before, I guess it was yesterday, and I Googled, bookstores, and there was Elizabeth's Complete Books, and it had a doorway that was, maybe like tops, it was 10 feet wide, and that was the width of the store, and it kept going back and back and back. And she'd have 2 steps up and 4 steps down, and a little closet room here and a little closet room there. And most of the closet rooms were art or artifacts or a little bit of collectors and that sort of thing. And then the main rooms that you came into were books. And they were primarily used books, although she had a section of new arrivals, but they were used books. And she had a section of local artists, and so there was writers. There was some pretty good offerings, but I needed something that I could. What was the word? I needed something where I felt secure picking it up, that I wasn't going to be frustrated. And I did reach out for Daphne du Maurier. It was part of a set, but not a complete set, so she wasn't too worried about my breaking it up. And I've got here, what's it say? Hungry Hill. I have not read Hungry Hill. She had Jamaica Inn and Rebecca. And a little while ago, I came across another Daphne du Maurier, not The Frenchman, which I have read, but another. And I did put it down because I didn't think it wasn't grabbing me, but I thought, I know that in a really bad case scenario, I can read Daphne du Maurier and survive. This video is a bit jerky, isn't it? I apologize. The last book that I have to talk to you about is A Tale of Magic by Chris Colfer, and he's written a whole pile of other books for young readers. And, oops, sorry, going wrong way. There we go. we've got three main protagonists. You can see them there. And they are describing themselves as fairies because in that particular society, witches are bad. And there's some tangled thinking going on by Mrs. Weatherbury. She is a woman who's decided to start a school for fairies who would otherwise be completely ostracized, burned at the stake, or something in between, abandoned for the most part. So she's decided this is a great way to try and develop the good side of magic, and that witches will be ascribed the dark. So we've got a division happening there. And there's more than 3 children that enter the story. I think that there's 6 all in total. And one of them, Lucy, is just her upbringing and her interests and everything really have her kind of earmarked to be a witch, but she doesn't like that. But what ends up happening, she's just a completely different thinker. And one of the themes of this book is, if you don't fit in, how do you fit in? And how do you find your people? And if you can't find your people, how are you going to make your way in the world without complete despair? So some pretty good little themes running in. Every once in a while we get somebody, teaching, explaining it, as opposed to the kids experiencing it and maybe recapping it or reapplying it at a different motion. So so a message is delivered and kids go away and think about it. And that's not my favorite, although I can see that it happens for some readers. It just needs to be laid flat on the ground for them to pick it up. So, of course, how do you survive if you're in a world where you are the least? And it comes back to compassion for your oppressors and love and patience. And these are all fine and dandy. And if anybody's ever tried to do those things, you know that there's limited success. I mean, there are better tools for conflict resolution than just loving your enemy while they, paintball you in the face. So that's what the kids are working their way through. And of course, at the same time, they're working their way through saving Mrs. Weatherby, who has gone off to take down the story's main evil protagonist, Snow Queen. So some of the Narnia Snow Queen pieces have come into this, and there's a love story that's gone awry that's part of the disaster, and there's heroes that are outside of the 3 children, and of course there's bad guys that are outside of the children as well, and sometimes parents and sometimes authority figures and or trolls perhaps. And so we get all kinds of people in here, and I think it's an interesting world that she's built. She's got sort of 4 kingdoms plus an in-between where all the undesirables have been sent to. Well, that's not going to work very well for very long, so that's part of the conflict as well. This is a 3-book series as far as I can tell. I don't know whether it goes... I know that there are 3 for sure. Now how long it goes, I do not know for sure. I feel that at the end of book 1, all the conflicts that needed to be resolved by the different characters and the setting and just everything came to a very neat ending, and it was a surprise ending. It's a cliffhanger ending. But what's his first name? Chris. What Chris has done is set up nicely a few pieces that will need to be resolved sooner or later. Except they're kind of obvious. In order to conclude the book, he had to leave some very clear things unanswered. And that means going into book 2, we're already gonna know what needs to be fixed. That's good for the series, but for me, that's not a great intrigue. Sometimes if everything gets all wrapped up very well in the first book, I think, okay, that's good. Let's have something different happen in the next book. Different main characters or a different dilemma, same setting, that kind of thing. So I will not be following through on this particular series. Oh yeah, you know the other thing I was going to tell you guys? This lady's bookstore that was 10 by 60 or 100 feet long, whatever it was, she was the only bookstore in Kenora. It's a fairly big population. They had a library, but it wasn't that big, and we didn't have time to go in. But honestly, and it was a well-meaning bookstore, and it was well put together, and you weren't tripping over old books, and it smelled okay. But the only bookstore, I mean, there wasn't a Kohl's or an Indigo or I don't think you could even say the gas stations had any books. Anyways, anybody want to start a bookstore in the world? Go to Kenora. You have no competition. Yeah, we're going to have to solve the car and the book shortage by Tuesday. So you will hopefully see the video, but I don't know how much more content it will have. I hope you're happy with this. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye for now. Item just in. News related to books. If you happen to spill a fair amount of scotch onto a flat surface that has edges to prevent things from rolling off, and you have a book on said flat surface, while said scotch is floating about, the book undergoes a complete lifestyle change. It no longer is a book, it is a Scotch sop. This book is going to be very difficult to read with all the drunken behavior going on with the words inside. Is it a book written by Margaret Elphinstone, or is it a collaboration between Margaret Elphinstone, Loreen Van Lierop, and the Scotch bottle? Only time will tell. News item, the second, this just in, completely unrelated to books. In the middle of the forest, amongst acres and acres of trees, a Rydam lawnmower just went by.
Yeah, okay. But it dropped down on the Explorer? Yeah. Did it come in a kit? Rollers, not in a kit. It's not a